So this is another video in my video series. So this one is specifically about what's it like to overdose, what's it like to be Narcan, and the responses that could have potentially helped me. So I was very young the first time that I overdosed on a substance, and I've overdosed, not fatally obviously, but I have overdosed and had to be revived a couple different times. But the first time in particular was very, very scary. It was only the second time I had ever used intravenously an IV opiate. So a friend of mine, we had gotten some heroin, which, you know, we had used, but we'd only used one other time. And the first time that I actually used heroin, someone had overdosed and had to be revived. So I knew that this was a possibility, but I think a lot of us, especially when you're young, you never think that that's ever going to happen to you, you know, because, you know, why would it happen to me? You know, bad things just don't happen to me. And so I was really, really surprised when I woke up. But so what happened was my friend and I decided that we were going to use heroin. It was like a big thing. Heroin wasn't as popular as it later became. It was, you know, actually pretty hard to get. So we just used like a tiny, tiny bit. And that's one thing that it's important to realize about, you know, any kind of opioids that you get off the street. You really cannot judge what the potency of it is. We thought, you know, this is just like a, you know, a tiny little bit. What can it actually do? But it almost killed me. So we did a tiny little bit, and I think my experience was very, very similar to one that a lot of other people that have experienced overdoses have, where there was not any indicator. I was just out. I was just completely out. And I woke up under a table because I guess I had like stood up and I had fallen down. I was underneath the table, and my friend was on top of me trying to give me rescue breathing, and he was slapping my face. And when I came to, I was like, you know, where am I? I was very, very confused at first. This is, you know, before Narcan was widely available. It was available through the paramedics, but not, he didn't call the paramedics yet. And I was just really, really confused. And I was like, why are you slapping me? Why am I under a table? And then I realized what had happened. I was actually pretty, I was horrified by this. And my friend was crying, because he thought I was going to die. And another time, I had overdosed where was given Narcan, and that going from A to Z, a lot of people say when, someone gets Narcan or they're given this overdose prevention medication, they become extremely violent. I think what was more my experience was that I was extremely confused, and I wanted to know why. You wake up and somebody's on top of you or someone's over top of you, and sort of like trying to move them out of the way, because in this case, there's a stranger, and then going from that to being instantly in withdrawal. So, violently in withdrawal. It was quite a disorienting experience. And I wish I could say that, like, those experiences stopped me from using. Although I will say in some ways they helped me to formulate ways to be more careful, to really try to use with another person. Because it became, in that particular, the first situation, like if I would have used by myself, I absolutely would not be here today. If there would not have been there was no possible way I could have responded or did anything differently. Like I just would have been dead. So it's really, really important, especially in the modern era, with fentanyl and everything, that if you're using that, you have someone else that's with you. And would I have gone into some kind of treatment back then? Would that have informed my, decision? I wish I could say that that's true, but in those cases, I was not far enough along in like my journey of consequences to where I thought that something like that would have been necessary. So, thanks.